Sonder. Now, when I say that word, some of you may know what that means, and some of you may not know what that means. So, here's the definition of Sonder. Sonder means, or Sonder is the feeling one has of realizing that every other individual they see in their life has a life of their own, and it's full and real as one's own. What that basically means is that, let's say, you know how right now you're living your life, and it's full of these great things, right? Family, friends, you know, cars, driving, money, food, all you like certain foods, you don't like certain foods. You like doing this activity or this hobby. All right. Well, that's the same for other people. I don't know. I feel like most people don't realize this, that everyone around you is living a life just as riveting as yours, and they're going sometimes through the same stuff as you are. And if you take a step back and realize that, in a sense, everyone is their own main character in their book. That's what it kind of means. And once you realize that, or, let's say you take a look at your friend, right? Well, he has a mom and dad, he has cousins and siblings. So do you. He has a life just as big and as important as you do, right? Well, this is a broad definition or broad term I'm using, but it's true. If you're in a certain situation, good chances are that there's another person out there that's gone through the same stuff that you have gone through or is in the same situation. Now, to me, when I think of Sonder, I started to sit back and look at people more, kind of sit back and observe. I was at a bonfire the other day, and me and this one guy, the other guy talks a lot, but me, I'm kind of observing. I'm observing the observer. I'm observing how he is observing other people's life. Now, in a sense, that's kind of crazy, to do. Why not just observe other people? But why not observe how he's observing other people's life, because he can boil it down, and then I can boil it down from his observation, right? And it's kind of a filtering system in a sense, let's say water, filtering water, right? It can be related to that, about, you filter it through one filtration system. Well, you got 99.9% of the bacteria out, but how about that 1%? That was 0.01%. So you have to filter it again. That's what I'm kind of doing in this situation. Observing the Sonder he is having. Now, I have no idea if I just used that term correctly. Hopefully I did. But little food for thought today is Sonder. Think about, next time you go out, I want you to look at someone. Maybe it's your mom, your dad, your family member, and just look at all the things that they do in their life, or all the things that you know that they do. They probably think that's riveting, right? For example, my cousin, he loves cars. He loves working on them. He loves 3D printing. He loves doing stuff, right? He loves just working on cars. So do I. I'm the same way. But he likes a certain type of car. He likes different cars than me. Let's say that. Let's say he likes certain different cars, right? And I like another different car. Well, for him, that could be more riveting than my type of car, right? And I could say the same thing about me. So I feel like nowadays, people should realize that something that is boring for one person might be something that they want to do and keep on doing for the rest of their lives, right? It might be full of joy, right? Let's say working on cars is boring for another person. Well, for another person, it could be the best thing in the world. That's why we have mechanics. That's why we have jobs in a sense, right? Because in a sense, you gotta like your job, unless you're working just for the money, which is true. But I'm trying to be broad here and trying to hit every point, even though I know I can't. But Sonder, that's the topic. Sonder, I feel like it's an important. I don't know if it's a feeling. I feel like Sonder is an important feeling that people should have, because without Sonder, how can you know what other people are feeling or know what they're going through? You kind of need to have that feeling to care. It's almost Sonder is almost like caring, right? Because once you realize that people have lives outside of yours and that they're more riveting and they're based around themselves, you kind of realize that you shouldn't be as selfish, you know? Like Sonder really kind of connects to selfishness, helping others out, because everything is not about you. There's others out there, right? There's people like you that are having just as big of a life and happy life that you are. So I feel like that's what kind of definition we should go by, don't be that selfish. But again, people are selfish and will always be. Even I'm selfish, right? We don't live in a perfect world. But I feel like at least try, at least just try to, maybe just helping someone out, maybe just talking to someone, maybe just even, sitting down with them at the lunch table, not even talking, just being there. Your presence, your sole presence being there is just helpful and is more than you know. Because I was once that guy, where I didn't care if I was, I cared if I was sitting alone at the lunch table, but then when I sat next to someone, we kind of talked and we looked busy, I was fine, right? And I feel like we're kind of losing that because of our phones, we're always on our phones and we're not connected anymore. So next time you see someone struggling or need help, just try to lend a helping hand. By anything, really, just to say a word. You don't even have to pay for anything or do anything physically, just vocally maybe, or even if you're too shy of that, maybe just a wave, just something, right? Try to break out of your box, try to break out of the box that everything is not about you, and have some Sonder in your life, have feeling, have the feeling of Sonder, right? I think that's if everyone has a feeling of Sonder, we will start to realize that our actions really do affect other people, They affect their lives, and that's what causes a lot of big problems in our life right now, right? So have some Sonder in your life, I say. Be the person that kind of sticks out for the little man. I know I've kind of iterated this before in my videos, but just have some Sonder, be kind to others, be helpful, I like the saying, joy. And now it is a religious saying. It's Jesus, others, and then you. Joy is spelled Joy. It's Jesus, others, then you. Because Jesus, if you're getting biblical here, he knows that you think that you can be selfish sometimes, right? So that's why I enjoy it's others than you in a sense, Now, sorry to get biblical there, but that's how I kind of think of it, is that if you got to help out Jesus and then others and then you could put you first. Now sometimes in life you do have to put you first, and that's if you're helping out others way too much. I do get that, and if you have to, you have to, right? Do you. I can't control you. What I can do is talk. I can use my voice, I can use my words, my ideas to get my, I guess, ideas out there, right? So I'm gonna leave you off with this. Have some Sonder in your life. Not everything revolves around you or around one person. Um, Stick out for the little man. Help anyone, even if it's just talking to someone who's quiet, or a compliment. And don't be afraid of anything, right? Because you're on this earth for a very, very limited amount of time, and try to make the best of it, right? So have some Sonder. Be good. Be kind. And of course, before I end off with that, I hope all of you have a wonderful evening, afternoon, or morning, and I hope all of you can find peace in your lifetime.